Hi everyone, this is the video study guide answer key for our Unit 2, which is on decimals, and this is test part 2. We've already taken part 1. And so we're going to get right into it here. This is page 1. My directions say for question number 1, use the data in the table. Use our table. And this says, which horse had the fastest time given in the table? Remember, fastest times means that it took me the least amount of time to run. And so I'm looking for the smallest number for the fastest time. I'm going to go ahead and put my numbers in order here. And so I see that I've got 2.45, and that's the smallest number, 2 and 45 hundredths, or I like to think $2.45. So I've got that one taken care of. And then I've got a 2 and 54 hundredths, like $2.54. And then I think 262. And now I'm up to my 3, so I've got a 3 and 3/10 and a 3 and 2/10, or 3 and 21 hundredths. So $3.21 is less than $3.30. Okay, so now which horse had the fastest time given in the table? It's the one that was the 2 and 45 hundredths, so that one's always dreaming. And then this is what is the range of times for the race. Well, I know to find range, I'm going to take my biggest number and subtract my smallest number. So for range, I'm going to take 3 and 3/10 and subtract my 2 and 45 hundredths. I'm going to add a 0 here. I can't take 5 away from 0, so I borrow. 10 minus 5 is 5. Can't take 4 away from 2, so I borrow again. 12 minus 4 is 8. Bring that decimal point down, and then 2 minus 2 is 0. So the range is 0 and 85 hundredths of a second, which is really a close race, right? All right, what is the mean average race time for the 5 horses? So to find the mean, we're going to add all the numbers together, and then we're going to divide by how many there are. In this case, there are 5 of them. I'm going to do that work on a separate sheet of paper just so things don't get too jammed up over here. But I'm going to take my 2 and 45 hundredths, my 2 and 54 hundredths, my 2 and 62 hundredths, my 3 and 21 hundredths, and my 3 and 3/10, and add all those up. When I add all those up, I get 14 and 21 hundredths. Then I'm going to take that 14 and 21 hundredths, and I'm going to divide that by 5. And so I'll take my 14 and 21 hundredths and divide that by 5 because there were 5 pieces of information in my data set. And so 14 divided by 5 is going to be 2. Bring that decimal point up there. 10, subtract, and I get 4. Bring down my 2. 5 divides into 42 8 times. 8 times 5 is 40. Subtract, and I get 2. Bring down my 1. 5 divides into 21 4 times. 4 times 5 is 20. Subtract, I get 1. Be careful here. That 4 should be above that 1. And a 0, bring it down. 5 divides into 10 2 times, and we're done. So 2 and 842 thousandths, but be careful here. My directions say round to the nearest hundredth of a second. So the 4 is in the hundredths place, and the 2 tells me to leave that alone. Don't bump it up to a 5. So the answer that I want to write down is 2 and 84 hundredths because I was asked to round. All right, so 2 and 84 hundredths seconds is the mean average of the races. All right, what's the median time given? Remember, median means middle, and so I've got 2 numbers above 2 and 62 hundredths and 2 numbers below 2 and 62 hundredths. So again, I can only do this because I've already put these numbers in order. They're in order, and I'm picking the middle number. If I had 2 in the middle, I'd add them together and divide by 2. 2 and 62 hundredths. All righty, moving on here. Directions for 2 and 3 say to simplify, show all work, and write our answer on the line. So our first problem is 4 and 1/10 squared. That does not mean 4 and 1/10 times 2. It means 4 and 1/10 times 4 and 1/10. This number tells us how many times we use the base as a factor. 1 times 1 is 1. And notice I'm ignoring the decimals. This is like 41 times 41. 1 times 4 is 4. Add a 0 because I'm shifting over to the tens place. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 4 is 16. Add them up. 1, 8, 6, 1. Now I care about the decimals. Place my decimal point 2 places in. 1, 2, and so that should be 16 and 81/100ths. All right, this one. I'm going to take 2 hundredths raised to the third power. So 0.02 times 0.02 times 0.02. Notice I left off that initial 0. It's just a little extra work for myself. I don't really need it. All right, so 0.02 times 0.02. So all I really need to do is do 2 times 2, which is 4. But I need 1, 2, 3, 4 places behind the decimal point. So here's 1. I need 2, 3, 4 places behind the decimal point. So that decimal point needs to be there. I'm going to fill in these front spaces with zeros. So far my answer is 0.0004. Now I've taken care of this one and this one, but I've got to take care of this one now. So I'm going to take that 0.0004, and again I'm going to multiply it by 0.02. Again, all I really care about here is 4 times 2, which is 8. If I multiply anything else out, it's just going to be a bunch of zeros. And then I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 places behind the decimal point. Well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm going to have to fill in with 5 zeros to get 6 places behind the decimal point. So my final answer here is 0.000008. And of course we can always add a 0 on the front end if we want to. Most properly it looks like that. But it's 0.000008, 6 places behind the decimal point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because there were 6 places behind the decimal point in the problem. All right, next section says to evaluate, show each step, write our answer on the line. And so we're going to, for our first one here, it says 1 5/10 times the quantity 5 7/10 minus g, and then minus 4. So we're going to substitute in 2 3/10 for our g. So I'm going to rewrite my problem with the substitution, 5 7/10 minus 2 3/10, and then minus 4. According to our order of operations, we do parentheses first. So I'm going to do 5 7/10 minus 2 3/10. 7 minus 3 is 4. Decimal point down. 5 minus 2 is 3. So the value for the parentheses is 3 4/10. So I've taken care of this number and this number. I've done those. I still have this times 1 5/10 and then minus 4. So my second order of operations ends. We took care of parentheses. There are no exponents, so now we multiply or divide. In this case, we have a multiplication problem. So I'm going to take 1 5/10 and multiply it by 3 4/10. Again, I'm just pretending like it's 15 times 34. So 4 times 5 is 20. Put my 0 down, carry my 2. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 2 more is 6. Put a 0 down because I'm shifting over to the tens place. 3 times 5 is 15. Put my 5 down, carry my 1. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4. Add them up, 0, 11, carry my 1, 5. Now place my decimal point, 1, 2, 1, 2. And of course we can drop this one off because it doesn't change that number or that value in any way. And so my answer to this part of the problem is 5 1/10. So I've taken care of this number and this number by doing that. And now I still have this minus 4. Be careful here. This is like $5.10 minus $4. All right, so it's not 5.1 with the 4 underneath the 1. The 4 has to go under the 5. So the problem I'm working on is 5 1/10 minus 4. Lots of people are still making the mistake of putting the 4 underneath this 1. Don't do that. 1 decimal point 1. And so my final answer here is 1 1/10. This was 1 1/10. We took care of that. We took care of that. So we're good. All right, next problem. 2 2/10 plus 3 6/10, then squared, and then times 5. So first we do the parentheses, then we do the exponents, then we'll multiply. So the first thing I need to work out is 2 2/10 plus 3 6/10. That's going to give me 8 there, decimal point, and 5. So the answer to this is 5 8/10. We've taken care of those numbers, but now we have to square that before we multiply it by 5. So squaring that tells me I use 5 8/10 as a factor twice. And so I do 5 8/10 times 5 8/10. Again, I'm just treating that like 58 times 58. 8 times 8 is 64. Put my 4 down, carry my 6. 8 times 5 is 40, plus 6 is 46. Put a 0 down because I'm shifting over a place. 5 times 10 is, 5 times 8 is 40. Put my 0 down, carry my 4. 5 times 5 is 25, plus 4 more is 29. Add them up. 4, 6, 13, carry my 1. And now place my decimal point, 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, so I figured out this part of the problem now. That came out to be 33 64/100, but we still have to multiply that by 5. So I'm going to take my 33 64/100 and multiply that by 5. So 5 times 4 is 20, put down my 0, carry my 2. 5 times 6 is 30, plus 2 is 32, put down my 2, carry my 3. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 3 more is 18, put down my 8, carry my 1. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 1 is 16, and then 1, 2, 1, 2. So again, we can drop off this end 0 here, and we have 168 2/10. All right, so we've taken care of this and this, and we are at 168 2/10. Write our problem down on the line, and that's the first page to your study guide. So tune into the rest of the videos for the next pages.